You genuinely believe that your uniform elevates you above us. The ketchup bottle was flung onto the diner floor by the sneering teenager. Without flinching, the man in the adorned military jacket simply looked up slowly and exhaustedly, his hands still resting on the coffee cup, as though it were heavier than a rifle. All around him, the diner was quiet. "He's a fossil, bro," one of the youngsters laughing in their gym shirts and ball caps said, "probably faked half those medals." They were taking advantage of each other's ignorance. Jake sat motionless few booths down. Cowards always choose easy targets when they feel insignificant, but this wasn't the case. He was just another army recruit in civvies, drinking a cheap cola and watching something that his drill sergeant had warned him about, anticipated to take place in their town. Not present, not to him. The man who stood there in the middle of everything was Colonel Briggs. He was a soldier who had led entire battalions through fire and was considered a legend. A ghost to many, a father figure to many, and now a joke in a cafe full of loud-mouthed punks with no past. There was a buzz in the room. No one moved, not even the cashier, the cooks peeking from the kitchen, or the colonel, who appeared to be about to say something, but bit her lip instead. The ringleader smirked and knocked over the old man's drink after he remained silent for longer than expected. "This table's for real men," he remarked. That was the last straw. Jake got to his feet. He remained silent and simply slowly and deliberately moved his chair back. The room followed him like a predator. He took 2 steps and was directly behind the child who spilled the drink. The child whirled. "You have something to say, my friend." Jake gazed at the composed director. Then, without losing eye contact, he picked up the dropped cup, put it back on the table, and started gathering the spilled napkins in a silent, deliberate manner, as if he were carrying out a ritual that everyone else had forgotten. The child snapped, but Jake simply turned to the colonel, saluted him sharply, and said, "Permission to speak, sir." "Granted." The colonel's eyes wavered. Jake faced the punks and said, "You boys are aware of the meaning of a bronze star." His hands were clenched, yet his voice was level. "Stares that are blank. What about a silver star or a purple heart? The type that isn't available on eBay, holding their dying brethren in their arms during sandstorms while gunshots fly past. Their ears is how the good men earn their kindness." The space was icy. Now, this dude Jake mentioned that when air support failed, the colonel managed to get half a platoon across enemy lines. This man witnessed his best buddy die in Fallujah, yet he still finished the job, and you're making fun of him because you've never had to earn anything. The lead punk chuckled uneasily. "Calm, man, we were merely playing around." Jake Deadeye leaned in. "Instead of messing with warriors, you mess with your Xbox." Among the child was about to puff up when his pal pulled his arm away. "Hey, now everyone has seen it." The artificial legs. Colonel Briggs stood balancing on 2 titanium limbs, both below the knee, without a partner. Jake stood aside and allowed the silence to speak louder than his words, waiting for the world to recognize what he had never once asked to be appreciated for. Then the backstory came. Before a second IED went off 10 years ago, Briggs had rescued 6 Marines from a blazing Humvee. He lost both legs and refused a medical retirement, but he continued to teach soldiers for 5 more years with steel in his legs and fire in his stomach. Following that, he devoted his days to unpaid coaching of new recruits and never missed a funeral. He didn't wear that pride-inspiring uniform. He wore it as a reminder. The room moved. Suddenly, one of the punks became embarrassed. One more took a seat and gazed at the table. Everyone wanted to apologize, but nobody did. At last, Briggs said a single sentence. "Respect is something you carry till it breaks your back, not something you demand." After that, He turned slowly and steadily and moved in the direction of the D entrance. But before he departed, the ringleader, who was now terrified and red-faced, murmured, "Wait. You didn't want to," the colonel continued gently. "But now you do. That's what matters." Briggs turned and muttered, "I didn't know." Jake moved forward once more. "Sir, thank you for everything." The colonel hesitated, glanced back, and gave a faint smile. The smile of a soldier won a momentary deep. The door closed behind him, and everyone inside the diner stood not because they were ordered to, but because they felt obligated to do so out of honor, guilt, and a desire to never again remain silent. If you were moved by this story, please leave a comment with your viewing location and channel subscription. Since quiet is a choice and respect is a choice, click the like button and leave a karma